Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. Let's get right into this. How to kill monsters. Let's check out this trailer. As per usual, I will be pausing and commenting just so that you can hear things clearly and to hopefully avoid a copyright claim.
Jamie, I'm just here for the truth, no matter how strange or bizarre it is. What the hell was that?
You just said...
Just start from the beginning.
This trailer really draws me in. It makes me want to see this movie. Everything that it presents says, Judah, you're going to like this movie.
Okay? Before the screaming.
Got it.
A cabin in the woods.
Said this was done by the same people who did Book of Monsters. Now, back when that came out, I saw a trailer for that, and I was really interested in seeing it. But I looked for a real long time for this Book of Monsters because, again, the trailer really drew me in. The practical effects, I was like, dude, this movie is for me. But when I finally got a hold of it, which I think felt like maybe a couple of years after the movie released, I found myself being disappointed for sure and even somewhat bored.
A ritual that summons some kind of monster which conveniently disappeared. Oh, and a chainsaw. I mean, come on. It's been done.
I did appreciate when I started watching this, them talking about the whole, cabin in the woods, chainsaw kind of thing. For me, I was like, okay, here we go again. It's like Evil Dead, you know what I mean? Everybody knows it. Everybody knows where it came from. And so I do appreciate the self-awareness right there and pointing that out. Okay, interesting choice of pausing moments, but let's talk about this. This was actually one of the monster designs that I really liked. It was almost like one of those anglerfish, that have the dangler that hangs out and has the light and attracts fish, and then they chomp on them. This woman actually has spoilers. She basically is the glowing light that attracts the fish. And the real monster that is behind her, I really dug the design. It did heavily remind me of the tree monster from Evil Dead 2. I really dug it. This monster, you only see the face of it. I just really enjoyed it. But if you watch this movie, you'll get what I'm saying. Not just because of the whole using something to attract to it, but also just the whole feel of this monster kind of had this angler vibe to it. There were a couple times... I'm going to have a lot of criticisms for this movie. The last movie I reviewed was Slaughterhouse, and I mentioned how that was a difficult review simply because the production was good, but it just didn't hit for me. And I'm feeling the same here. But this one I feel is even more difficult because there was so much about it that I wanted to love. The lighting... Like here, it's not bad, but there were times when massive monsters would appear and the lighting was so dark that you couldn't see what was going on. That was either a technique used by them to help hide the crappiness of the puppet, or I'm not sure what was going on there, but there was definitely 2 times that this occurred, and I was frustrated because I couldn't get a grasp of what the design of the monster was. It was just a somethingness in the dark and tentacles. There's also a point where the chief, all spoilers, by the way, all spoilers, my apologies. The chief of this police station, she's going to be retiring. So they have this huge cake, one that you would generally see somebody pop out of, which doesn't totally make sense. But so it's a massive cake. And when monster stuff starts happening, this cake turns into a monster. My frustration was I loved the idea behind this. But when it is presented to you, you don't really know, just based off of what some of the words, some of the dialogue that was said, you assume that the cake became a monster. But then when they actually show it, again, it's so dark, you can't really take it in. All it is just, in my personal opinion, just kind of a big blob with a massive mouth. And I loved the idea of this monster cake so much that I was bummed at how little visual that I got of it, because I felt that it could have been very fun. So that was a big bummer for me.
You're not telling me you actually went along with all of this, right? Fuck off.
Based off that trailer, I'm like, this movie is golden. This movie is like right up my alley. But for me, it just, I started losing interest. I wanted to love this movie so much. This was Kickstarter backed. They had some initial funding, but they needed more. So they did a Kickstarter, which they did succeed in. So they were initially asking for £30,000. When it ended, they achieved a little over £37,000, if you can see that up here. Look at these reward packs. I mean, this stuff is legit. See, and here, when you look at this concept art of this cake, of course, you got this stripper in here. I would love to see this cake on the screen, actually visually, but that's not what we got. These things so far are about the only thing that I saw in the movie that are very accurate to what you see in the movie. Everything else, here's that angler, just so you get a better understanding. Here's that thing that was back in that door, and this is that woman that I paused it on with the boobage going on. But I'm loving the artwork. I love the fact that they went with all practical effects. It was just fantastic. That is so up my alley. And I love that they had this. This is a NES. This is the old Nintendo, the original Nintendo. One of the rewards was, getting this video game. It's just amazing. I love the heart and thought that went into this. And it just bums me out that I did not love the movie as much as I wanted to. I'm sure some of you out there have wanted to love a movie and then you were just so disappointed. Oh my gosh, as I'm saying that, holy crap, the Disney Star Wars. How badly I wanted to love that. And just when The Force Awakens came out, and I just had to deal with the fact that immediately I knew it was garbage. I was like, this was just a rehash of the original movies. It was such a bummer to me. And when the prequels came out, I told myself I loved them. But eventually, as time went on, I had to just come to the grasp that the prequels were not good. I mean, let's start a fight. Midichlorians? Come on, guys. Midichlorians? What the... Anyway, so when the Disney Star Wars came out, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to live, in a delusion. Oh, yeah, it's good because it has the word Star Wars in it. I was past it. I finally came to the grips that the prequels were not great. And then Disney came out, and man, they went even worse than the prequels, which was amazing. But it was stuff that I wanted to love. I thought Disney was going to save Star Wars, and they didn't save that. They put a big steaming pile of poop on it, and stamped Star Wars on it, and was like, everybody's going to eat it up, and they sure did. And there's still a small group out there who will, and they will die on that hill, and I'm not willing to die on that hill. But I almost had that same kind of, I wanted to love this movie. It had all the ingredients of something that I should walk away from loving. But what actually occurred was it made me miss Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost. I was like, oh, this movie has all the ingredients of like Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. I can't remember that's the name of the third one. But it made me long for that team up again. And honestly, I'm not pooping. Well, I am technically pooping on the people involved with this one. What do they say that? Imitation is the greatest form of, I don't know, flattery? Is that what they call that? Is that the saying? I have no idea. If they could have just gotten some of the team from the old Spaced, and if you've never watched that TV show Spaced, holy crap, you need to give Spaced a view, especially if you're around my age and you're just going to have to guess at that. Spaced is fantastic. So yeah, we got Simon Pegg, we got Nick Frost, we got Edgar Wright, and then we got Jessica here. Had they had these four people and Jessica playing the lead role, oh my gosh, this would have been a freaking home run for me, for sure. But again, it had the ingredients, but it just didn't knock it out of the park for me. You know, when you go to, Walmart or something, and, you're looking at those name brands and you're like, I want Doritos, but man, $7 for a bag of Doritos, that's a little salty. And we got this Walmart brand over here. It's $4. It's the same thing. And you buy that Walmart brand and you go home and you eat it and you're like, gosh, dang it, I should have spent the $7 and gotten those Doritos. That's kind of what it feels like here. I want to find something positive to say about this because I can see the heart that went into it. And there are moments, there are like glimmers in this movie where it's like, oh my gosh, this movie could be awesome. And it just didn't do it for me. Now, I also want to offset. I wish I had somebody here to do this review with me that really loved it so that we could have the back and forth and not just the me who was disappointed in it, because I can see, just the love that was put into this. I already said it when I looked at their Kickstarter. I was just, that's so amazing, their Kickstarter. Okay, I'm going to show you the official How to Kill Monsters website. We got somebody right here that says, a joyously retro and over-the-top monster movie, making it an instant cult classic. Dread Central. It says here, winner of 21 awards, including Best Film and Best Special Effects. Look at all these awards listed up here. So I want you all to know that there is a large number of people out there that think that this movie is top-notch. And if they don't think it's top-notch, they at least think that within the realm that it came in, that they pulled off a superb movie. So I don't want my negativity to dissuade you from seeing this movie. But one of my goals was to always just be real, not to be a shill, and to say what I think about a movie. I do think this production company should be, you should keep track of them. What is it? Dark Rift Horror. I think you should definitely keep an eye on Dark Rift Horror right here. This is their logo. Obviously, there's some kind of a desire to emulate Edgar Wright for sure. And good on you guys for picking something so fantastic to emulate. Let me just read the synopsis for you. The sole survivor of a blood-drenched massacre must team up with a ragtag bunch of rookie cops and lawbreakers to defend a police station from the invasion of monsters from another dimension. This other dimension was clearly Lovecraftian, for sure. At some point, you definitely see Cthulhu out there. I want to show a clip of the movie, and I'm warning you, this is a heavy spoiler. If you do not want this movie spoiled, you need to stop watching this review right now. Okay, so this is going to look really wonky because this is my TV in my bedroom, and I just held my cell phone and just filmed this. So let's watch this. It's weird that there's no audio. But okay, right here, you see this chainsaw going through this woman. Okay, pulls it out.
We have the right to remain silent. Bitch.
They're all excited. Instantly, this wound heals. Okay, she turns around. She's like, I'm coming for you now, old lady. Okay, she's about to do it again. She grabs it with her hand. Pushes it back. On her. And killing her. Bummer. Okay. Now, here's where check this out, guys. This is a special edition Resident Evil controller in the shape of a chainsaw. Actually, the idea of controlling this game with this seems very uncomfortable. Okay, so let's look at this. And in the past, I've complained about this. If you're going to make laws or rules for your universe, that's fine. If they don't abide by our actual reality, like we have gravity here, okay? You can make a movie where the gravity is lighter, okay? And that's fine. Then we're just going to believe that it's not within our realm. It's not a big deal. If you're going to make a movie where everybody knows how to fight kung fu and every hit and punch makes a noise, that's fine. We all know that in our universe, that does not happen. But you need to stick with these laws and these rules throughout the whole movie. No changing the rules mid-movie just to get out of sticky situations. So in the clip I just showed you, chainsaw goes through the back and the chest of this woman, cutting through flesh and bone, poking out the front. So we know that this woman's body can be hurt and damaged. Okay, first rule. Then she heals quickly. We all saw that. So that's a second rule. She can be damaged, but she can heal quickly. She turns around and she grabs the chainsaw like such. Okay, and holds it. So if you implement, and for those of you who are not familiar with chainsaws, just let me mansplain to you for a second. This part, there's a chain. Okay, and it rotates, spins. Now this chain can get lodged, it can get stuck and stopped. There are things that can stop the chain from moving. So let's just say that this woman is strong enough to grab it and hold it and stop the chain from moving. That's fine. That works. But the chain is moving when she grabs it. There's going to be a moment where it is still moving. So her fingers should have been, in my opinion, technically cut off, because we already saw from their rules and their universe that it can cut through her bone and flesh. Okay? So if it's still spinning, her fingers would have been cut off. She wouldn't have been able to grab it and smash it back on this old lady. But let's just say somehow, even though this isn't in the story, let's just say that we do mental gymnastics and say, well, now that she is aware that she's being attacked, now she's making her skin hard, okay? Let's just say that. So she's made her skin hard so that she can't be cut now. Hence, she is able to grab this blade, the spinning blade, and stop it. But here is where more issues enter in. If she has stopped the blade from spinning, it's not moving, then what's the point of putting it back on that old lady? Because that blade is not spinning, and that's not going to cut her. I mean, granted, she could put it up against her face and pull it down, and that would cut her, but the blade ain't spinning, and it ain't going to chop through her. Okay, that's for some reason. Let's just for some reason think that that's baloney, and in fact, the blade is spinning. You know, it's some reason isn't cutting her fingers off, but that blade is still spinning and she can cut that old lady. Here's where an even bigger problem comes. For those of you who run chainsaws know this. For those of you who don't, you have to hold down this freaking trigger to make the chain move. It's called safety, people. So why the hell was that old lady still pulling that trigger? All she had to do was let go of the trigger and the chain would stop spinning and she would have been safe. So technically she killed herself, and that's really annoying to me. Make the rules and stick with them. If you can't, don't make the rules. And if you want to get around the rules, you better make sure your writing is good enough to get around them. That was just something that frustrated me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to ruin this movie for people, but that just... And I know for most movies, you have to get rid of, some kind of, what do they call that? Sense of disbelief and just let things go. But that was just too much for me. Too much. What would I rate this movie? I'm not going to watch it again. I would obviously watch this over Terrifier, because Terrifier is just absolute garbage with no redeeming quality whatsoever. I'm not going to fight you on that. That's just my personal opinion. This movie, I wanted to love, and I just didn't. I got bored with it, even at 100, even at only at an hour and a half. I definitely found myself getting very bored and wanting it to end. And I wanted there to be less ignorant choices made in the movie. I don't know. I guess that's what I'm going. But again, it won a lot of awards, so take what I have to say as a grain of salt, except for the whole chainsaw thing. My chainsaw argument is solid, and anybody who wants to say that I'm being nitpicky can go eat a banana, because my critique of the chainsaw is valid. If you've seen this movie, please give me your comments below. I want to know what you think. Am I being too nitpicky? Do you think that I'm being over critical and that I should stop looking to days past when we used to get Edgar Wright, Nick Frost, and Simon Pegg, and the other chick whose name I can't remember at the moment? Jessica Hines, if that's how you say her last name. Those days were amazing, back when we were getting Spaced and Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And to a lesser note, that last one, The World's End, End of the World. I don't remember what it was called. But those were some fantastic movies. And British humor is... I like British humor. So this does have glimmers in it, but it never reaches a place where I could actually recommend it. But do keep an eye out on that production company. Looks like they got a lot of practical effects driven horror movies under their belt. And I'm sure as they continue, they will continue to grow in their writing and their craft. And I look forward to that. I'm not going to write them off just because 2 of their movies have not hit for me. I'm going to keep checking out their movies, and I just want to be honest with my personal feelings about this. And I'm still like on the fence about if I keep the overhead lights on or if I shut them off. Nobody's answered me. Nobody's helped me out with this. Thanks again for watching. I'm Judah. This has been Creepin' It Real. See you later.